Welcome back to my Philadelphia Eagles franchise here on Madden 23, and today we'll be taking on the entire offseason and getting ready for Season 5. We end Season 4 by getting all the way to the Super Bowl for the 4th straight year. We have yet to miss a Super Bowl in this series, but this is the second time we've lost a Super Bowl. We lost one in Season 1, then we won back-to-back ones, and now we've lost another one. And now looking at these season stats, we will start with quarterback Glenn McCutcheon. And it does look like he managed to take a step forward this year, finishing with his highest passer rating of his career with 96, finishing with 4,900 yards and a career-high 35 touchdowns, and a career-low 19 interceptions. He finally managed to not throw 20 picks in a season. This was also the best year in terms of completion percentage for him. His rookie year he had 64%, last year was 62%, and this season was a 67%. And now for our rushing stats. We did not have a 1,000-yard rusher this year, but that's because Tony Pollard missed the first few games. Brian Ford played really well, but when Pollard got healthy, he became the starter. Really couldn't do a whole lot, so I put Ford back in. He finishes with 959 yards and 11 touchdowns, and Tony Pollard finishes with 4 touchdowns on the year. And we had 2 receivers go over 1,000 yards this year. A.J. Brown, who missed the entire playoffs, and I really think that probably affected us in the Super Bowl. He finished with 107 catches, 1,500 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 95 catches, 1,016 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert got 4, Quez Watkins caught 7, Teddy Austin, our rookie tight end, caught 4, Brian Ford caught 1, Darius McGee got 2, Tony Pollard got 2, and wide receiver Christian Peck got 1. And now on defense, Kyzir White led the team in tackles with 163. Nakobe Dean ended up with 123 this year. Tackles for loss goes to Josh Sweat with 20, and sacks goes to Josh Sweat with 16. Yannick Ngakoue got 9, Drake Jackson got 5, Jordan Davis got 4.5, Kyzir White 2.5, Thomas Daniels 2.5, David Fernandez got 2, James Conley got 1.5, Nakobe Dean got 1.5, Neville Gallimore and Kenneth Murray both got 1.5, Donaldson got 1, and then the following players got half of 1. Sean Murphy-Bunting, Caleb Farley, Jason Flowers, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. What about interceptions? That goes to Sean Murphy-Bunting, who got 8 picks this year. Kyzir White got 5. Caleb Farley got 4. Nakobe Dean got 2. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got 2. Earl Hayden got 2. And James Conley got 1. And Jake Elliott only made 78% of his field goals. The only time he's been lower in his entire career was 2020. He made 73%. Obviously, we started this series in the 2022 season, and this was by far his worst season that we've seen. And there were 6 quarterbacks that threw for over 5,000 yards this year. Joe Burrow, Donnell Roth, the quarterback in Tampa, Trevor Lawrence, now quarterback for the Rams, Russell Wilson for the Broncos, Nick Perry, the rookie quarterback in Chicago, and Josh Allen threw for 5,006 in Buffalo. Joe Burrow obviously leads the league with 5,435. Donnell Roth 17 yards less than him. He was that close to it. Who led the league, I about said nation, in touchdown passes? That would be Desmond Ridder with 46. Herbert with a 40 touchdown to 9 interception season. Absolutely insane. And Davis Mills for the Chargers leads the league in interceptions with 22. Dak Prescott, Donnell Roth, and Trevor Lawrence all through 21, and Tua through 20. So for the first time in Glenn McCutcheon's career, he does not lead the league in interceptions thrown. And then outside of these guys who really didn't play that much, like you see several of them only had like 1 pass attempted on the entire year, Lamar Jackson was the most accurate quarterback with 74% of his passes completed. Also, I apologize, I think I said earlier that Nick Perry was a rookie this year. He was not. He is in his 2nd year. And rookie running back Edward Branson for the Commanders leads the league in attempts with 334. In yards as Najee Harris was 1,765, while McCaffrey actually tied him. What about touchdowns? That goes to Josh Jacobs with 28 of them. Austin Eckler had 21, Najee Harris with 19. Who led the league in fumbles? That would be Cole Pitts and Damian Harris. And there are several receivers over 100 receptions this year. Tyler Boyd, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Stephon Davenport, a 2nd-year receiver in Chicago, and Gabe Davis in Chicago. So they had 2 receivers go over 100 receptions. Who led the league in yards? That is going to be Cooper Kupp with 1,655. And what about touchdowns? That goes to Tyler Boyd and Elijah Moore, who both got 16. And with his 163 tackles, Kyzir White actually leads the league in tackles. What about sacks? That goes to TJ Watt with 19.5. Rashawn Gary got 18.5, 17.5 to Khalil Mack, and 17 to Myles Garrett. What about interceptions? That goes to Sean Murphy-Bunting. And a few kickers actually made 100% of their field goals, but Justin Tucker was the highest amount with only 14 attempts. And then Brandon McManus for the Buccaneers went 20 for 21. So we finished as the 7th ranked defense overall, the 3rd amount in TDs allowed, the number 2 team in sacks with 50 sacks this year, and in takeaways we got 30, finishing number 1, and then in red zone percentage a 57%, which is good for number 6 in the league. And then on offense, we finished as the 21st ranked offense, the number 15 in passing touchdowns, the number 32 in rushing touchdowns, the number 31 in giveaways, and on third down percentage, we ranked number 21 in the league. And I don't know how much this is actually going to change anything in this game, but with how talented our offense is and how bad they played this year, that cannot go unpunished, so we're going to fire offensive coordinator Joseph Wells. And there's no one in the available offensive coordinators that actually has the same offensive scheme as us, which is a vertical zone run. So we're going to hire Carl Hughes, who runs a multiple zone run and the Denver offensive playbook. Their quarterback did just throw for 5,000 yards, so that is who we're going to bring on. And winning the league MVP this year is quarterback Nick Perry for the Chicago Bears, and the coach of the year goes to Jeff Powell for the New York Jets. And we will take a look at the AFC awards first here. Josh Jacobs wins Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year goes to TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Roy Welch. I believe he is the quarterback for the Jets. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Christian Lawrence. Best quarterback goes to Deshaun Watson. Best running back goes to Josh Jacobs. Best wide receiver goes to Tyler Boyd. Best O-line goes to Quentin Nelson. Best D-line goes to Myles Garrett. Best linebacker goes to TJ Watt. Best defensive back goes to Jose Fryer for Jacksonville. And the best kicker is Cairo Santos. And now for the NFC awards. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Christian McCaffrey. Did we have anyone up here? No, we did not. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Rashawn Gary. Kaiser White, Josh Sweat, Sean Murphy-Bunting are all up here, but could not win it. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Edward Branson. Teddy Austin was 3rd in voting. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Ricardo Baptiste. I don't think we had any rookies starting on defense. Best quarterback goes to Nick Perry. Is McCutcheon up here at all? No, he is not. Best running back goes to Christian McCaffrey. I assume none of our guys are here. Actually, Brian Ford finished 10th. Best wide receiver goes to Chris Godwin. AJ Brown is up here at 5, and none of our other ones are here. Best O-line goes to Zach Martin. Did any of our guys get up here? Cam Jurgens actually got 4th in that. Best D-lineman goes to Josh Sweat. Anyone else up here? No. All right. Best linebacker goes to Rashawn Gary. Kaiser White finishes 4th. And then best defensive back goes to Sean Murphy-Bunting. None of our other guys are up here. Actually, Caleb Farley's up here. And then best kicker goes to Justin Tucker. Did Jake Elliott even make this list? No, he did not. And here is your official 2025 season recap. Jonathan Taylor is the Super Bowl MVP. The Colts get their 3rd Super Bowl in franchise history. Nick Perry is the MVP like we just saw. Josh Jacobs is the real Offensive Player of the Year because it doesn't split it here. TJ Watt wins Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie goes to Roy Welch. And Defensive Rookie goes to Christian Lawrence. And now that all of that is out of the way, finally we can jump into the real fun part of this video, the actual offseason part, and we will start with re-signing players. We have 12 players ready to negotiate. And out of those 12 players ready to negotiate, I'm going to bring back exactly 0 of them. The first one is Tony Pollard, and the reason I'm not bringing him back is 1, he has no re-sign interest, and 2, he got benched halfway through the year and Brian Ford played a lot better. The next player up is right in Yannick Ngakoue. Now he does have some re-sign interest, but he's already 31 years old. He's wanting a bit of money here, so we're going to move on from him right now. We may bring him back in free agency though. The next one is backup middle linebacker Maurice Winters. We're just really not bringing him back right now because he has very little interest, only a 72 overall. He was brought in as a solid backup last year, got to play a little bit, but we'll look for a replacement or we could end up bringing him back. And the next one up is cornerback David Shields. He is 25 years old, 71 overall, doesn't really have much interest, so we'll look elsewhere. And I was really hoping Zach Ertz would end up retiring after this season, but it looks like he's going to keep playing. He has a lot of interest in coming back, but he's already a 70 overall, starting to regress. We may bring him back if we have the roster spot, if I don't find anyone better, but as of right now, we are letting him walk as well. I'm letting Jack Fox walk because, to me, punters aren't that big of a deal. He is one of the better punters in the game, I think, but he's already done an 81 overall, 30 years old. We'll see if we can get another punter. And then there is linebacker Kenneth Murray. I traded for him a couple years ago. I moved him to be a left outside linebacker this last season. 27 years old, still a star depth trade, but he is wanting a bit of money. We're going to see if we can get anyone better. If not, we may bring him back. The next one up is Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle who is a 76 overall, 29 years old. I may bring him back if I can get him back a little bit cheaper in free agency. The next player up is actually our starting center, Cam Jurgens. He has no interest in coming back, only a 76 overall at 27 years old with a normal dev trait, just not interested in bringing him back. I would love to bring back Kennedy Brooks. He's been on our team this entire time, but he's 27 years old, has never really had any interest in playing for us. Every time I've had to re-sign him, he has no re-sign interest whatsoever. We will see if he can finally get signed to another team, otherwise we will probably bring him back as a backup. And then the last two guys are Eric Rowe and Jacoby Stevens. Really just not bringing them back because I feel like I can get better players in free agency or the draft to replace them. And we do have one retirement on our team. Matt Ryan was our third string quarterback because he had the mentor player tag to get our guys a little more experience every week. But Matt Ryan has decided to retire as an Eagle after 18 years in the NFL. I really hope in future Maddens they add something to renegotiate contracts with because AJ Brown has a $41.6 million cap hit this season, and in real life that would probably get renegotiated to some sort of contract extension over the next like 2 or 3 seasons. And before we get into free agency, I was trying to figure out a way to clear up a little bit more cap space just in case we needed some people. And I'm looking at Quez Watkins here. He's 28 years old, 82 overall. He would save us only like $4 million in cap space, but I think I could get a decent haul for him. And looking through the rest of the NFL to see who could use Quez Watkins, the Tennessee Titans only have 2 receivers on the roster, a 73 overall in Jim Duval and a 66 overall in Leslie Bowden. And we have completed a trade of Quez Watkins. We are sending him to the Tennessee Titans for a 2nd round and a 6th round pick in the upcoming draft. But that is the only trade we are going to do, so now I can jump into free agency and let's see exactly who is available. And immediately I noticed several top running backs are here. Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Walker, Mekhi Becton's here at right tackle, Garrett Wilson at wide receiver, Yannick Ngakoue is still here at right end, with 23 interested teams. Jabril Peppers is here and Drake London. So let's figure out, hey, Avonte Maddox is back in free agency. Let's figure out if we want to bring in any of these guys. So just to recap, before I go into who I targeted in free agency, because I did not go crazy here in the first stage, I want to show you guys this. We have 5 second round picks after that trade with the Titans now. I might package some of these up to move up, or I could just sit there in the 2nd round and take several players. But with that being said, here are the current players I am going after in free agency. The number 1 player being Mekhi Becton to play right tackle, and then Jonathan Greener to replace Yannick Ngakoue, Romeo Doubs to come in for a cheaper version of Quez Watkins with 92 speed. He has some pretty solid route running as well, so he will compete with guys like Darius McGee and Juan Jeffries for like that slot spot, and then Ramondre Stevenson for our power back. But let's see if anyone wants to sign here in the first stage, and it looks like we get Mekhi Becton and Jonathan Greenard. And then for Romeo Doubs, we're still the only one there, along with Ramondre Stevenson. So let's just skip to the next stage. They still don't sign. We may have to up their offer a little bit. And in the final negotiation period for the first stage of free agency, I was able to get Ramondre Stevenson, but I pulled the offer for Romeo Doubs because if I upped the money at all, really, it was just going to be a Quez Watkins level contract without that speed. So I really didn't feel like we needed to actually bring him in that bad. And in the next stage, I would sign 2 more players. 1, I brought back Kennedy Brooks, and 2, I have signed Marcus Mariota to be our new mentor quarterback. And I've signed 1 more player here in free agency, and that is wide receiver Caleb Lacey. Now that name may sound familiar to you if you've watched this entire series, and that's because this was one of the first players I drafted. He was part of the first draft class that I did, and he was picked in the beginning of the 3rd round, but I traded him to the Rams, I believe during the draft last year, or at some point early in the preseason, but he was back in free agency, so I decided to bring him back in. And we have now officially picked up quarterback Glenn McCutcheon's 5th year option. His first 3 seasons he managed to get us to the Super Bowl and win 2 of them, but he's also thrown 20 plus interceptions in his first 2 years and then 19 last year. Hopefully that continues to go down, otherwise we will have a massive decision to make in a couple years. And we have also picked up right guard Evan Steffa's 5th year option as well. And wide receiver Caleb Lacey immediately had an upgrade for us, so he gets +1 to awareness, catching traffic, catching 2 to deep route, and 1 to medium route. And now we get to take a look at all of the free agent signings. Breece Hall is headed to Cincinnati, Tony Pollard is headed to Denver, Kenneth Walker is now a Patriot, Mekhi Becton obviously an Eagle, Garrett Wilson is now a Cleveland Brown, Yannick Ngakoue is headed to the team that just beat us in the Super Bowl, Jabril Peppers is a Charger, Drake London is a Ram, Avonte Maddox is a Packer, Daniel Carlson went unsigned, Emmanuel Ogbah is a Bear, and Bowles, if I said that name right, is a Ram. And after throwing for 5,000 yards last year, Russell Wilson has left the Denver Broncos and signed with the Jets. Baker Mayfield is officially a Falcon. So is Teddy Bridgewater apparently. Jameis Winston is now a Jacksonville Jaguar, Desmond Ridder is now a Houston Texan, and Sam Darnold is now a Las Vegas Raider. So I wonder who the Commanders and the Giants will both be starting at quarterback, because Darnold was the Giants starter and Winston was the Commanders starter. And before we officially get into the draft, here is the final mock draft. So they are expecting 2 quarterbacks to go off the board immediately to Denver and to Jacksonville, and then an outside linebacker, a right guard, and then another outside linebacker. The Cardinals are expected to take a left outside linebacker. We should be all the way down at pick 31. Let's see what we are getting mocked here. We are getting mocked a free safety in Matt Wall. And I'm scrolling through all of these prospects here to see if there's anyone that I really want to trade up for, and I really don't see anybody that's worth it. So I think we're going to sit back with our 5 second-round picks. We may trade some of those away to get picks for next year or something, but as of right now, I'm not going to trade up in the first round. And with the first pick in the draft, the Denver Broncos are going to select a quarterback, Gordon Albertson out of Dayton. So let's see who Jacksonville takes with pick 2 here in the draft. They take quarterback Calvin Hogan out of North Carolina State. So I think that's exactly what the mock draft said would happen. Let's see who the Panthers are going to take. They take the outside linebacker that they were projected to take. And what about Detroit? They take the right guard that they were expected to take. So that mock draft is really accurate sometimes. And then at pick 5, they go with the other outside linebacker, and the Cardinals at pick 6 will take the left outside linebacker, right? Yep. And I've now jumped to the end of the first round where we have our first pick, so let's see exactly what we are going to do with it. And with our first round pick here, I'm going to take Spencer Hilton out of Texas A&M. He comes in with A block shedding, B awareness, B play rec, B power move, and B tackle. I think he could be a really solid player for us, and he will have a hidden dev trait. And with our next pick in the draft, which is pick 2 here in the second round, I'm going to take center Gabe Barnett out of Ohio State. A awareness, A impact block, B to C pass block, A to B run block. We're going to draft him, and he will have a normal dev trait, not what I wanted to see. And with our next pick in the second round, I'm going to take free safety Theo Norwood out of Miami. He comes in with A to C hit power, B man coverage. He is the 9th fastest safety in his class, and he will come in with a hidden dev trait. And with our next pick, which is at pick 21 here in the second round, I'm going to take outside linebacker John Herrera out of Florida State. Only C block shedding and B pursuit, but he has A tackle and A zone coverage, and he will also come in with a hidden dev trait. And here we have the next 2 picks in the draft, and the first one I'm going to take is middle linebacker George Burns out of South Carolina. He is kind of a risk, I'm not going to lie. B to D block shedding, B to D pursuit, C tackle, B zone coverage, but we're going to take him, and he will have a hidden dev trait. And then here at the end of the second round, I'm going to take defensive tackle Kamani Jenkins out of South Carolina. C block shedding, C finesse move, B to D power, but A tackle. And he is the strongest defensive tackle in his class. And he will come in with a normal dev trait, but 97 strength. And here at the end of the third round, I'm going to take right outside linebacker Paul Thompson to be a backup to Kaiser White. And he will come in with a normal dev trait. And yes, I know I took a center earlier in the draft, but we're going to take another one. Center Grant Rogan out of Oregon State, and he will come in with a hidden dev trait. And here at the end of the 4th round with pick 31, I'm going to take strong safety Joe Fields out of Ohio State, and he will be CJ Gardner-Johnson's backup. I don't know how bad or good this guy's going to be because he has D block shedding, C finesse move, and B power move, and then C to F tackle. Let's see, he is the 2nd or 3rd strongest defensive tackle in his class. Let's go ahead and take Nathan Bates out of Nebraska. He has a normal dev trait. And here in the 6th round, where you obviously just take project guys, I'm going to take right end Kai Fitzgerald out of Miami, and he will have a normal dev trait. Not really a shock in this round. And with our second pick in the 6th round, I'm going to take outside linebacker Harold Stills out of Mount Union. He has A zone coverage and a hidden dev trait at the end of the 6th round, really. And now in the 7th round, where I think we have 3 picks here. The first one's going to be defensive back Dalton Aiken out of Notre Dame, and he will come in with a normal dev trait. I'm going to go ahead and take one more outside linebacker. Why not? We're going to take Mario Raymond out of Idaho. He has A tackle, A zone coverage, and is decently fast. He will obviously have a normal dev trait being an undrafted player, but whatever. And with our last pick in the draft here, pick 31 in the 7th round, we're going to take running back Malachi Reed out of South Carolina State, and he will come in with a normal dev trait, obviously. And here is our final draft class. Spencer Hilton in the first round is a 72 overall. Gabe Barnett, the center I took that I was shocked had a normal depth trait, is a 76 overall. Theo Norwood, the free safety, is a 73. John Herrera is a 73 as well. George Burns is a 69 overall, but I believe he also had a hidden depth trait. And then Kamani Jenkins is a 72 overall. The outside linebacker Paul Thompson is a 60 overall. Did he come in with a hidden depth trait? He did not, so he is not going to be very good for us probably. And then we took center Grant Rogan, who does have a hidden depth trait at 71 overall. A strong safety that's a 65 overall in Joe Fields, a 63 overall defensive tackle, a 64 overall right end, a 64 overall right outside linebacker, a 64 overall corner, a 62 outside linebacker, and a 65 overall running back. Well, let's see how our divisional opponents drafted. The Commanders took a 73 overall left end, a 74 overall wide receiver, and a 73 overall center. No one else is above a 70. The Cowboys took a 72 overall left tackle, a 74 overall left guard, trying to rebuild their offensive line, I guess, and then a bunch of players in the 60s, so they did not have a great draft. And the Giants had the 8th pick in the draft, and they took a 75 overall wide receiver in Josh Stark, a 73 overall left end in the 2nd round, and a 74 overall tight end in the 3rd, and then they got a 70 overall wide receiver in the 5th round as well. And in case you were curious, the best player in the draft was a running back that got taken by the Falcons at pick 26, who was a 79 overall. And here is the quarterback that the Broncos drafted with the number 1 pick. For some reason, wearing number 20, I guess 1 through 19, was probably taken on their team, but he is a 77 overall with a hidden depth trait. And then here is the quarterback the Jaguars took with the number 2 pick in the draft. He comes in as a 73 overall, right now has -2 morale, probably because where he got drafted, but he is currently a 71 overall with a hidden depth trait. But that about wraps up this video. The next one will be the entire preseason, and I will show you guys any undrafted players or any free agents I sign in general. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys next time.